the mainstream media, do you have many mainstream media interviews, or does it tend to be more the alternative media that...
virtually none. I tell you what's interesting. I can go into a country like Serbia, and I'm on the mainstream primetime breakfast show for 25 minutes. I can go to Slovakia and be on their primetime current affairs show. I can go to Estonia and be for 25, 30 minutes interviewed on their absolutely biggest current affairs show.
Well, like Question Time, or the BBC's Question Time, for example, you would have been on.
No, they won't have me on. No. When people have gone on to Question Time and said, why don't you have David Icke on? Basically, they come back and justly ridiculed the very idea. So you have these mobile mouths on every week, boring everyone to tears, and they're calling it public debate. Of course, they don't want someone like me on, because I'm going to be questioning all of them and challenging all of them, whether they're left, right, or centre, on what they're saying about the world, because they're all on the postage stamp, and therefore basically all pushing the world in the same direction while thinking they're different. So, yes, the mainstream media in Britain basically completely shuts me out. And it's an interesting change, mate, really, because at one time they delighted in ridiculing me.
In regard to the wars that are happening, I mean, you mentioned like it was 1 million killed in Afghanistan. I mean, another key part to the jigsaw is the arms dealers of the world. I think you've mentioned in your book, is it Lockheed Martin, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got close to home in Lancashire, British Aerospace. I know I think they've had sort of multi-billion-pound deals for fighter planes to go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, the sort of controversy of those being used to kill civilians in Yemen. Is there much you know about that side of it?
I saw the guy running British Aerospace telling people a few days ago that he didn't know if British Aerospace weapons were being used by Saudi Arabia to commit war crimes. Well, I think there's probably a great chance, mate, to be honest, given what Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen. Again, with no condemnation, by the way, from the West, because Saudi Arabia is doing the West's bidding, therefore no criticism, no condemnation. Same with Bahrain, same situation. But Assad, who they want rid of, he only has to cough in the wrong frequency, and everyone's all over him. But this is a thing. British Aerospace has come up in my research a great deal. I mean, when you talk about the great armament companies of America, Raytheon and others that are majors in the field, British Aerospace is right up there and doing exactly the same things. So, I know it's difficult when British Aerospace are in an area and they're a big employer. Yeah,
thousands of employed, in Lancashire.
Yeah, people need to pay the mortgage, pay the rent, put food on the table. I do understand that. But we shouldn't let that colour our understanding of what they're doing. I mean, you have a situation where the more wars that you have, the bigger the stock price of armament companies, because the extraordinary amount of money that they make. You've got this cycle where war equals bigger profits. On that level alone, there is an incentive for war. And when you go deep into this web, these armament companies are owned by the web. They're what's driving them. So you start a war, you lend governments through the banking system money to fight the war. They use that money to buy armaments from your armament companies. And then when countries have been destroyed by the war, you then lend governments more money to repair the country from the damage of the war. And so at every point, this web gains from wars. And British Aerospace, same with Raytheon and these others, they are very, very close to government. And things like British Aerospace and these American armament companies, they are basically arm's length, sometimes not even that. They are arm's length assets of the military. And arm's length, not even that again, arm's length assets of the intelligence community. So through the web, British Aerospace, British Intelligence, GCHQ Cheltenham, and the Ministry of Defence will all be operating to the same agenda. Same in America with Raytheon and the Pentagon and American government and the CIA and the National Security Agency. They're all assets of the same web, so they work together.
That was one point of interest, actually, in the documentary I watched about 9/11, and it sort of ties in with your who benefits question. After 9/11, I think the funding for the American military quadrupled overnight, and who's to gain there? The arms dealers, of course. I was just looking at the time. I think we're sort of approaching 2 hours, actually, so apologies for taking all your time, but. Just to wrap up, there's so much doom and gloom in the world, and you're uncovering even more doom and gloom that some people can't get their heads around. After watching your show for 4 hours, I couldn't sleep that night, and I still feel like I'm still adjusting to my life outside the postage box. But I think there was in your show there was a very positive message as well, which was you can take back control. You don't have to believe everything you're being told, and it's okay to question things. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Well, the thing is, they don't control from cradle to grave human perception because it's a bit of fun and let's have a laugh. They do it because it's the only way they can do what they want to do, because when you uncover and get deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole, the number of people in full knowledge of what they're doing and why is laughably tiny compared with the global population being manipulated. And only by this compartmentalization of knowledge to stop people realizing what is happening, while getting large numbers of people to contribute to it every day without realizing that's what they're doing. That's the only way they can do it. So they have to control our perceptions, because that controls our behavior, what we'll accept, won't accept, do, not do, challenge, not challenge. And so the answer is not stockpiling weapons and fighting the enemy. It's taking control of our perceptions back. And more people are doing that. There's no question about it. I mean, I've been on this road now for about 30 years, and my God, the change in the last 3 has been fantastic. And it's an exponential curve of people awakening to this stuff. And the point is that this awakening to the world as it is can happen in an instant. It can happen in an evening. It is not some long process of deprogramming. It can happen, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. Once people see they've been lied to about something that they've sincerely believed in, well, the next question is, well, what else have I been lied to about? And the dominoes start to fall very quickly. I've seen this happen in so many people, where they've gone from ridiculing it to seeing it in a very, very short time. And this is why now we have this vast global effort, not least through the internet, to censor information, because they can see that it's having an impact. But this is the whole point. If we take control of our perceptions back, and we start to open our minds to what's really happening rather than what's we're told is happening, we start to question rather than accept, then the whole house of cards starts to crumble, because it's our perceptions, our program perceptions, is holding the whole thing together.
Yeah, perceptions.
We talked in this chat, which I've really enjoyed, by the way, about journalism.
Yeah,
we talked about politicians and what have you, and how by reflex action they respond to things that are outside the box. That's the glue that holds it all together. If people stopped doing that, then the whole house of cards would fall, because when you get deep and deep and deep into the nature of reality, which is nothing like we experience reality, how reality really is, then everything comes down to mind. Mind, consciousness is everything.
And perception,
and from that comes everything. Now, what perception is, particularly program perception, is a state of mind. And from that state of mind manifests an experience, manifests collectively a world. And there's no better example of that than the placebo effect. The placebo effect is curing something with something that won't cure it through a belief that it will cure it. That's what the placebo effect is. People are not healed by placebos. They're healed by the belief that the placebo will heal them. I've seen studies where they've had drugs for hair growth, and they've had a group that took the drug and a group that took the placebo, and some people that took the placebo, their hair started regrowing because of their belief in it. Now, if you take that to the wider situation of people perceiving a certain world, perceiving how the world is, and believing in that's how the world is, this postage stamp normal, in the same way that the placebo creates reality, so does that. And so the more that people draw their psychological support for the postage stamp consensus program, the more it will unravel and dissolve. This is the way. It's all a mind game in terms of you get to the foundations of this conspiracy. It's all psychological manipulation, and everything else comes from that. And what's the answer? Stepping out of the psychological program and setting our minds free to go where they want to go rather than where society tells them they must go. And this is where, again, political correctness comes in and what have you. It's all a scam to stop the free flow of information and opinion because of where that will lead and where they've seen it already lead. I mean, when I look at the reaction to me 30 years ago and the reaction to me now, it's like a completely different galaxy, never mind world that I'm living in.
Yeah.
Because this information is starting to have an impact.
Well, yeah, talking about freedom of speech there, to me that's one of the reasons I went into journalism. I mean, freedom of speech is like the foundation of any fair society. So, long may it continue, and long may you continue speaking around the country and across the world, of course. So, I've
got another series of events in Britain the second half of the year, and in Scandinavia. I'm going off to Australia, and there's a film being made of my life and work as well by a team out of LA, and they were with me in the last part of the tour. That's going to come out next year. So
look out for that.
Things are looking good. But the thing is, you must keep putting one foot in front of the other, and never stop to defend yourself. There's no point in that. If you're not doing anything that you have to defend yourself for, why are you defending yourself? You just have to keep walking, keep talking, and you'll get somewhere. So long as you have the self-integrity of saying, I'm going to be me and not what someone else says I must be. That's how we got into this mess, and it needs to stop.